let's talk about how to start teaching a phonics style program. You want to start with what's called CVC words. That's consonant, vowel, consonant. And they need to learn how to blend these together. So I'm going to put a link below of this mom that's got a whole list of all the CVC words. You want to stress that they should use their finger to help them to read. Beginning to read is so overwhelming. There's so many things going on. It's kind of like the first time you learn how to drive, and you need to help your child learn how to focus their attention down. They're going to get tired at first just because it's so new, so you have to build that strength up. So by using their finger, it will train their eyes to move forward. A lot of children have the tendency to want to learn how to read the other way, like they're learning Hebrew. So you have to teach the right direction that letters go. And then by using their finger, a lot of kids will get stuck on a letter, and it reminds them to keep moving forward. So for children that are struggling to read, a lot of phonics programs will break a word apart like this, with these dots underneath, one for each letter, and a line that reminds you to keep moving. So you teach them to read like this. K, a, t. And just like on Sesame Street, you just keep doing it faster. K, a, t. At, cat. I know that word. That says cat. So you need to teach them that when they get to the end of a word, there's a space there before another word. That's how we break words apart. And then later on, teach them about how you can tell when you get to the end of a sentence. So CVC words are most successfully learned if you teach them in sets. So like cat, bat, rat, mat. So for my daughter, I made her up these circles, and I put these on our calendar board, and I just put a little teeny piece of paper that said AT, and she could spin this around and read these words and get used to them a little bit. And then after that, I would make up a simple worksheet. Her first ones just had cat, hat, and she drew a line to match them with the picture. So at first I just used clip art from a Google search, but then my older daughter started drawing in the pictures for me as the sentences got more complex, and that was nice because it entertained them both. So a lot of phonics programs will differ on whether to teach spelling and reading at the same time or separately. I've tried it both ways, and I haven't noticed any difference. But reading and spelling are really opposite skills. It's decoding, where you're breaking the letters apart, and when you're spelling, you're coding. You're putting the letters together. And coding is a lot harder to learn because there's so many alternate sounds that you could use to build a word. And if your child is struggling with reading, don't feel like you have to do spelling. They will learn how to spell those words through repetition. But if you can do spelling at the same time, then it will help build that up stronger. So that's a personal choice. So once they can read CVC words, you can do a lot of different kinds of things to practice with them. You can always find free worksheets of ways to practice these. But like I said, you want to teach them in sets. So you're probably going to teach all the short A sounds, ah, and then the E, I, and These are really nice books that you can practice with. These are called Bob books, and they put out a whole set of these of CVC ones. So I think there's 12 in the first set. And the nice thing about these is that the text is very simple and the pictures are very simple, because a lot of times kids can get hung up on the pictures and they forget about focusing on the reading. So this one just says Matt. Matt sat. Sam sat. And so it's just a short little book. And I usually have my kids read these about 7 times. I just make them a punch card, and once they've read it 7 times, I give them a prize, and then they can move on to the next level. Now, the Bob books didn't have all the sounds in it, so I went ahead and made a few for myself. I just used a granola bar box and some paper, and this was Dan and Nan. And so I wrote a very similar, easy style book. You can also find lots of games online, both like video style game and like games that you can make. So one of my friends, she had printed off these free board games, and she says, okay, just fill it in with all the vowel sounds. So like A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, all the way around the board. And then she had printed off these cards for my kids to practice CVC words. So you get your token and you pull up a card, and if you can read it, Mom, then you get to move to the O space, and so on. And then when they get to where they're comfortable with the vowel sounds, there's these kind of cards that have the vowel missing, so that way you have to practice that, as well as ones where the beginning sound is missing. I never actually used these ones. We didn't get to that point. She also had printed me up bingo cards, but we never used those ones either. But there's lots of games out there and lots of other ways to practice CVC words. So you want to make sure that you teach them in sets and that you spend long enough on them that they feel really comfortable before you move to the next level. So there you have it.